If you want your game to succeed, you need one or more of three important things: a name, a following, and a good game. Rose has none, but it does have a heart, if only that were enough. Today we'll be looking at Rose. And for those of you who don't know, I'm Earth.Otherwise. Welcome to Game Review. Here I will be looking at a game and grading it in 27 categories, though not really this time, but that's the normal spiel I pop off at the top of this. If you want an in-depth description of what the categories should be, a link can be found on my page, maybe down below in the description. I'm not entirely sure yet. I'll inform everybody here, new and old, that this review contains my personal opinions about the game and is not an objective analysis. For that, there is the Let's Analyze series, which comes out whenever I get done them. But often within a week of the review coming out, often before the review comes out, in fact. Now, you won't find Rose unless you're looking hard. If you try hard enough, though, you'll see a few things. A few Reddit threads, a Gama Sutra article, and a failed Kickstarter sitting at $36 of its $6,000 goal. I looked at Rose on behalf of the designer and programmer to tell them what I think. Unfortunately, this review is coming out far too late for it to be of any help. As such, I'm going to take the time to look at everything that happened with Rose and go over the missteps that the creators took in trying to make this dream a reality. There's not much of a game to be talked about, after all. But this is a review, and I will be talking about my impressions of the game for what little time I was able to play it. Rose was clearly cobbled together. It wasn't even in alpha, it was just a conglomerate of objects thrown together to make a simple level that could show what the game was about. Unfortunately, the game is no longer available in any form, and I may have the only footage of the game being played, so you'll have to take my word for it when I say that it was pretty mediocre. The art wasn't there, and neither was the sound, but that's to be expected. What isn't to be expected is how big and strange the level was. Vegetables floating through the white void with strange creatures and boxes that would eventually be NPCs. It's clear that the creator tried for something far in excess of what they were capable of. The level sprawls left, right, up, and down. Things are placed randomly, and there's no place where you're supposed to focus. Exploration reveals nothing, no secrets as far as I can see, and nothing overly interesting unless you want to spend all your time admiring level design. So the game itself is unacceptable for retail, but it was still just a concept, barely a demo, so that's to be expected. What we are going to talk about is what happened with the game. As I said earlier, this demo was the demo for a failed Kickstarter. So for the rest of this review, I'm going to examine what the creator tried to do, why they tried to do it, and how you, as a game developer, can use this as an opportunity to learn about the pitfalls you may experience when creating, marketing, and releasing your own game. Now, I believe that you need at least one of three things to kickstart a game. At least one, but all three is preferred. And as an indie developer, you're going to need all three if you're going to succeed. You will need a name, a following, and an idea worth pursuing. Rose has only one of these, but did not demonstrate it, and so could not gain the following that the idea needed to survive. Obviously, most of us don't have a name. In order to get a name, you need to have made some games, some good games. Games that would put you on the radar. If you're watching me, you probably know the good game developers. Hideo Kojima, Marcus Persson, Peter Molyneux. You might like them or hate them, but these men have names that many of you will recognize. Men like these are known to make games that people enjoy playing, and so can go onto Kickstarter and say that they want to make a good game, and they will get funded, because people know that they can do it. They have a proven track record. You, my dear friends, most likely do not have a slew of good or almost good games under your belt. My first piece of advice is to change that. Make and release a couple of simple games. The first couple should probably be free just so that you can get your name out as quickly as possible. But you're going to need to release at least one retail game before you go for that dream game and put it up on Kickstarter. Now, you don't have to do this, but if you have both a following and a game worth making, but it is in your best interest to do this if it is at all possible. My second piece of advice is to get a following. You can do this in various ways, and you should do as many of them as you can. Offer advice and criticism on forums, make YouTube videos about your game development process and what you do, talk about your passions online, get engaged in the fandoms that you are a part of, be visible, and put your most interesting foot forward. You won't see results overnight, but over time you will gain a small crowd of people who like you and will help you. Hopefully, unless of course you're a complete asshole. In which case, good luck and make some good games. YouTubers, celebrities, and bloggers, these are the people that have a following, and the few that have branched out into game development find their way paved for them by their fans. If people like you for you, then they will help you in your endeavors. It helps if you do this along with marketing your small game, as your following will increase with each game you release, and give you a larger audience when you announce the next game. The final piece of advice is hard to give, because it is going to be hard to follow. Everyone thinks that they have a game worth making, and they probably do. What you might not have is a game that others think is worth making. Even if they do think it's worth making, they might not be willing to put their money where their mouth is, meaning your good idea may never see the light of day. Rose was ambitious in all the wrong ways. It wanted to be for children. It wanted to be new and exciting. It wanted to help people. All good things. All things that the core audience isn't going to engage with unless you present it to them on a suitable platter. I'll first start with the fact that I don't know the developer. I can't even remember if they put their name out there. They had a website, a Gamma Sutra article, a game table somewhere, I can't remember, and a Kickstarter. That's not a lot of places where you can be engaged. Even if you were on the front page of new Kickstarters for a week, that's still not a lot of engagement. The creator hadn't made any games as far as I could tell, and they didn't have a blog, YouTube channel, or public social media that I could easily find. Hell, they might have them all, but I couldn't find them. Then again, I didn't exactly look very hard, but people aren't going to. You need to put all of that stuff out there, up front, make it easy to find. So the creator went in with no name, no history, and no following. They also went in with an idea for children. A game for children is a hard sell. Even with the average age of gamers going up as the original game-playing generation gets older, you're still working mostly with males age 18 to 30, often without children, and often looking for the next interesting game for them. Rose is not a game for that demographic, and so that demographic probably isn't going to engage with it very well. The second highest demographic is females in the same age range, also without children for the most part. Not any easier to sell to than them, I'm afraid. What Rose needed to be successful was engagement with parents. There are two ways to do that. Either engage with the parents directly, or with the children in such a way that the children ask their parents to engage with you. I'm not an expert on how to engage with either group, but I do know that parents and perhaps educators are the only people who would be interested in financing a game for children, so you need to engage with them. I'm afraid I don't know how to do that. Perhaps approach your local PTA, spread the word through the grapevine or something like that. Facebook advertising, perhaps? That's for you to figure out. What I can do is point out how things went wrong, and hopefully you can figure out how to set them right. In the end, though, Rose was a good idea made with somebody who had no proven history, no following, and no advertising to the people who would be invested in making this game happen. Rose's final score is unacceptable. It needed to be better thought out, better advertised, and the presented demo needed to learn from the games that came before it. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully this has been helpful, and if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments down below. This has been Earth Otherwise, signing off.